what a cracker of a start we've had in this test match today. Obviously, New Zealand winning the toss and keeping in mind the conditions they put India in.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Straight Bat with Gulf News and Mr. Cricket UAE, that's Sajan. With me is Sajan, and along with us is Gautam Bhattacharyya as we discuss day 2 of the World Test Championship in Southampton. It was an ultimate test, but it got out to a damn start yesterday with the first day being lost to rain and bad weather. But we have some action today, but a large part of the day was lost, but at least we got the match going. And it's over to you for the impressions of the second day 2 of the ultimate test.
Thank you, Shyam. Good to have you, Gautam. What a cracker of a start we've had in this test match today. Obviously, New Zealand winning the toss and keeping in mind the conditions they put India in. But the way both our openers, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, played the first hour, probably almost we were on 20 over 60 runs. They made sure they left the good balls and pounced on the weak balls. And India looked like in control till we saw India's nemesis, Jamieson, coming and picking up the wicket of Rohit Sharma, where he played a nothing shot, which is his weakness generally. And in England, you generally don't place the shots, otherwise you pay the price. So did it happen with Neil Wagner, the warrior, I would call him. He keeps on coming up with these great deliveries. And the inexperience of Gill could pay the price, and he got out. And then India were in a situation where they were not out of it. They had Virat Kohli, and Pujara got a beauty of a delivery from Trent Bolt. And at that time, probably New Zealand had the edge, but you have to give credit to the way Virat Kohli and Rahane both have stitched a decent partnership and has brought India back into the game. India has not run away with the game, but mind you, on this wicket, in this seaming conditions where the ball was seaming around throughout the day, both these batsmen have given India the little bit of upper hand.
Gautam, what's your takeaway? What's your impressions of today's game?
Yes, Shyam. I mean, see, from whatever play was possible, circumstances are obviously in nobody's control. But whatever test cricket was possible, a very absorbing day of test cricket, I would say. Firstly, the openers, and then when Kohli and Rahane were batting. One thing became very clear that we were discussing the other day about a lack of match time and all that, but they had done their homework as to how they would go about their task to negate the swing of the New Zealand bowlers, the way they were taking their guard, and the way they approached their job. I mean, Rohit's shot that that going for that first time, I think he played a little away from his body and he played the penalty. So Indians were also ready, an absorbing day's cricket, and we have got 4 days to go. So we see a result. I mean, I was seeing in the social media that people already started getting restive about bad light, but there's very little that you can do about it, isn't it?
Yeah, the climate is not, or the weather is not in your control. But let's focus on the cricket part of it. Some things we got right, some things we didn't. I mean, at least let me put my hand up and say I got some things wrong and some things right. I said that I would want to bat first, I would want to bowl first. That's precisely what Kane Williamson did, and I think that was a no-brainer because given the conditions and given the weather, I think that is perhaps the most prudent thing to do. Even Kohli said that he would have batted despite having two spinners in the squad. But what I also said that if New Zealand bowls first, within the first 5 overs, both the openers will be in the pavilion. But that didn't happen. In fact, it took 88 minutes for Rohit's first false shot. But the way both the openers approached, like you said, was superb. Also, I think partly to blame is the New Zealand attack because I think especially Tim Southee, I think he wasted far too many balls. See, this is the problem with bowlers even at the highest level. Even if the wicket is helpful, they tend to get carried away and tend to spray the ball around. If you remember, even in spinning wickets, the bowlers, the spinners sometimes may not be very in fact, they
Spot
get
on.
carried away by the turn and they spin it too much so that missing the ball. Here, it was a classic case where Southee was bowling either wide or down the leg side instead of making the batsman play. When the ball is moving around, you need to make the batsman play, which he didn't. And whenever he got it in line, I think both Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma were up to the task. In fact, I saw them, both of them were standing well outside their crease so that they can smother the movement much earlier or wouldn't allow the ball to swing too much. So there were promising signs. I think the rewards were there. And in fact, even the way which Kohli batted is so superb. He had just spun 4 in his 44, but he was vigilant, watchful, and not a foul stroke there. So, what do you make of Kohli's innings?
I'm glad you brought out that point about just 1-4 in his innings. There is the point which I want to talk about Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. Rohit Sharma went on to score 34, hit 6 boundaries, and Shubman Gill hit 3 boundaries of 28. So what probably the only flaw I would probably say between both of them was that they hardly took singles. The running between the wickets was not up to the mark. And that is what with time, Shubman Gill will definitely learn. Rohit Sharma has played enough cricket to understand this. Now, this is required in Test cricket. Test cricket is not about boundaries. Okay, you have the Virendra Sehwags or you have probably the David Warners hitting the boundaries. But in Test cricket, you need to rotate the strike. And even though India had a decent start in where, as I said, 20 overs, they scored 60 runs. But there was more to, as you mentioned, New Zealanders not bowling the right length, not making enough balls to play. They were not bowling in the right channel. And that is where India capitalized on the loose balls, which was on the pad or it was too short. But nonetheless, you have to give the credit to the openers. They solved that tricky period, even though it was seaming and swinging for almost 60 overs. But in nutshell, Virat Kohli's innings was the innings which shows how Test cricket needs to be played in this sort of conditions.
Gautam, I think that the 58-run unbeaten partnership with Rahane and Kohli, I think, steered India towards a bit of relative safety. What do you say?
You cannot really, yes. I mean, given the time lost in first day's play, you can say they are not badly placed. But once again, if you look at the circumstances were very challenging. I mean, the run rate is somewhat at around 2.5. So definitely they've done a good job. As to the safety part, we'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow how things shape. But they have really staved off the initial part of the challenge where our apprehensions were lying. They have done very well on that score.
Why I said relative safety was they could have easily lost 5 wickets. And if you had lost 5 wickets, then you're looking down the barrel. So that didn't happen. So, Anis, who was the pick of the New Zealand bowlers for you?
Honestly, Kyle Jamieson, who made sure that, he bowled in the right corridor. If you have to even give credit to the Colin Goodrum, he generally is known to bowl in these conditions with the right length. He went for 4 boundaries. I think Rohit Sharma first hit him 3 boundaries. Every over is to hit every boundary. But if you look at his analysis, 11 overs and 23. So all the bowlers bowled well, but they had the conditions. They could have probably utilized the conditions much better, made India play more than to leave. And that is what India capitalized on. And like Mr. Gautam said, that India definitely is still not out of the woods, but 260, 270 on this wicket. And then, of course, when the spinners come into play, if the sun comes out, we probably are in the driver's seat.
Gautam, do you see any chance of spinners making an impact in this game? Because we have 2 spinners in the side, and the general impression is fourth and fifth day they could come into the equation. So now with India batting first, that means New Zealand will be batting last. I mean, if it goes the distance. So how much do you think an impact the Indian spinners will have?
Yes, Shyam, I think New Zealand may have missed a trick in finally deciding to keep Patel out, because you see, I mean, whenever the sun is up, I mean, you could be. We have all seen the wicket as it is, but there could be a bit of a rough created, and that's the spinners may even get a grip. You don't have to wait till the 4th or 5th day, but maybe by the, by the second day, later half, or even third day, early on. And India is spoiled for choice. But if New Zealand had that one, guy who's a genuine spinner, then it would have made a difference to their attack. I mean, we can't help but agree on one front that there is a bit of a sameness in the New Zealand attack. I mean, you've got a relentless seam and swing attack, fine, and then you've got Grandhome. So some change of pace, and whatever be the condition of the wicket, I think tends to help.
And did New Zealand miss Ageas Patel?
Now, when I look at how India has, batted, I definitely feel, if India would have been bowled out for 150, probably you wouldn't have been talking about this. But India, like when Virat Kohli was asked at the toss, would you like to change your decision about the squad you've announced? He says, our bowlers are equipped for all sort of conditions. And by batting out in this tough conditions, India has proved that they've gone with the right squad. And definitely, even Shane Warne tweeted that not playing a spinner. And let me remind you, Shyam, since you mentioned this, the last test match which India played here against the Englishmen, Moeen Ali was the man of the match, where he picked up 9 wickets in the test match. He picked up Virat Kohli's wicket. He picked up most of the important wickets. So spin definitely comes into play. No matter sun or not, you're going to see spin come somewhat. And we have 2 of the best spinners. So you have to feel that New Zealand probably went too many of seamers in. I'm not saying because India is a little better on the side, but you cannot have the sameness as Gautam said in their variety. You need to have a little bit of spinner.
Yeah, 5 seamers, it's too much, isn't it? I can understand 4 seamers and a spinner, maybe yes, but 5 seamers, I mean, that's a bit of overloading of the same attack. Then now, if okay, here Patel may not have come into the equation in the first day itself, but maybe in later as the match progresses, maybe there would have been a role for Ageas Patel in this match. Do you think it'll come back to haunt them, Gautam?
You mean not choosing the spinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, yes, I mean, definitely that variety is missing as of now, what we have seen. But I think India have batted today something like 64 point some overs. So the moment the new ball is due, they're going to take a crack at it. And once again, I mean, if play starts on time tomorrow, because as Anish Bhai was saying that the forecast in the initial part of the day is not very good, then again, it's just another day, and I'm sure Kohli and Rahane will start afresh as if they're starting from zero.
Why I harp on the spinning thing is, even after 64 overs, the Duke ball is still swinging.
I want to add on this point. Yeah, let Gautam finish first. Then
that is something, you see, this. I want to ask both of you. I mean, what Nasir Hussain was saying that, this Duke ball, apparently once the lacquer goes off, it starts swinging more after about 12 or 15 overs.
Yep.
So that makes the behavior a little, unpredictable. A little unpredictable, whether there are chances of getting a bit of reverse swing, though we didn't see much of it today, I think.
No.
So, yeah.
But we saw conventional swing even after 60 overs ball, but there was conventional swing. So which means the conditions are still heavily in favor of pace bowlers or swing bowlers. Yes. So
Shyam, you know what I wanted to say? When it spins in India on first day, there is a lot of grudge and a lot of complaint that you have not prepared a wicket which is good for international cricket. And it swings even after 60 overs, and it seems after 60 overs, then they say that you need to adapt to the conditions. I mean, this is double standards of cricket. I mean, you cannot be cribbing when you come to Asia and crib about spin.
Like Kohli.
Absolutely, Gautam, you got to accept it was seaming and swinging, and you have to give credit to the Indian boys. They have adapted well. They have learned from their past mistakes how to play. They don't complain. So when the Goras come to India, I'm afraid they start complaining, especially Michael Vaughan, who's always on the, on his tweet that India makes wickets to suit spinners. Why not?
That is an
Sure, you
entirely
guys can
different
probably endorse
conversation,
on it.
Anis, because if you look at every single country, they prepare wickets to their advantage. I mean, you don't expect England or Australia to give you spinning wickets, do you? I mean, same way,
Absolutely not.
when you come to India, you don't expect people to India to give you seaming wickets.
So that's what I'm saying. You don't complain. You got, as the guy says, I love the commentary of Kumar Sangakkara. He says, whichever country you go, you need to adapt to the conditions. You cannot complain. If you're a good player, you prove it by adapting to that conditions.
Yeah, that is where the home and away matches come in.
True.
I think some here. I mean, just maybe you will ask about it, or we will talk about it at some point in the next few days. But this is where the case for at least a best of two, if not a three. With this tight FTP, three may be difficult, but a best of two at least is called for. I mean, if this test ends in a draw, despite
In a draw.
having an extra day, yeah. Then that will be
I'm
really
totally with you. I'm totally with you on that. Simply because normally test is not a one-off match, isn't it? Given anything, we call it a test series. So at least there should be a minimum of 3 tests to decide the winner. So one-off test, I mean that's unheard of. And the only time I can remember is when memorial tests like centenary tests, those kind of times. That's the only time you would get to hear of one-off test. I think by having just one test final, I think that is completely incongruous with the general sentiment, or even that's not what test series are about. It is a series, and this is no series. So I think the ICC has got it completely wrong here. What do you guys think about that?
Yes, I'm sure with time, Shyam, they will probably look into this, because this test series, rather the World Test Championship, has been going on for 2 years because of the pandemic. And when you put in, almost 55 test matches were played in this whole ICC Test Championship, and you don't want to have a one-off test match where one team probably has an advantage and runs away with the match. So you rather like to give equal importance, a chance to the other team to come back in the series. So maybe in the near future, they might have a best of 3 series if they really want to know who's the best team in the world.
Absolutely. And also, see, to have, I would even take it a little further, Gautam. Here, even a best of 3, I am not in favor of that, simply because test series are always home and away matches. So even a final also, they should find a way where you can fit in home and away matches. But I think that's asking for too much, simply because given the commitments of the teams, and given the way the cricket calendar is shaped, I think they might be asking too much. But this one-off test, I'm completely with you on that. I remember even Shastri and Kohli made a mention of this in their press conferences, that they would rather have a 3-test series. But coming back to this match, do you guys see a result here, or do we lose more time to the inclement weather?
Gautam?
Oh, why not? Yeah, see, 4 days. I mean, we have seen test matches finishing in far lesser time, and with Kohli around and Williamson around, I mean, there could be some some smart moves. I mean, I won't say bold declaration. I mean, no team will be as bold in these conditions, but there are possibilities. There definitely, unless again you end up losing a substantial chunk of play tomorrow, then we'll be in a better position to comment on this. But we have got 4 active play days left, and where they are going to compensate for the overs. In fact, today that was the idea, that both the post lunch session and the last session, they were looking at 15 overs each extra. So which didn't work out in the end before. But one thing I wanted to ask both Shyam and Anis is that, you see, when play started, then I believe they had the floodlights on. So what was stopping them? So what was, if lights were the only issue, your outfield is dry, it hasn't rained during the day. So what was stopping them? I mean, are you aware of the technicalities as to when the lights can come on, or they're not allowed when the twilight is there? What is it?
I can answer this, Gautam. You see, lights were put in the day in the daytime when the lights were on. Lights can be put on anytime. It's not about twilight, but how much is it? There is a light meter which reads that beyond this, you cannot continue the match as it's dangerous, because you can still see a white ball, but a red ball is not that easy to sight. So in the interest of the players, you are not supposed to continue the game if the light is dangerous. And even if the floodlights are on, like you play the ODI cricket or the T20 cricket in the lights, you cannot play the test cricket because it is played with red ball and it is not difficult to sight. That's the reason they had to call off whenever it used to go about that particular light meter. I'm not sure about the exact number, but I even heard somebody saying it's not for the spectators. The spectators like you and me want the game to continue, why the match has been called off. But yes, this is not for the spectators. It's for the players' safety that they had to take the players off.
I think you're absolutely right there. That is the thing, because sighting a white ball and a red ball under floodlights is two different things. So that is the only reasons, because they wouldn't want players to get injured. You see, even in traditional test matches, let's say even without lights, if the match had to be extended, they would look, if the spinners are bowling, they would continue to extend the matches. But the moment a pace bowler comes on, the umpires call off the match.
In fact, Virat Kohli was egging. He wanted to play today, but the way he wanted to was batting. He said, "No, I want to come." But that was wise decision taken. India did not come on to bat. Yeah, Gautam was saying something.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's such an animated character that the moment they were walking out, the first guy who would come out on the balcony is him. He's fidgeting, raring to go.
No, you can't take him away from that. I mean, he is very much in your face, so we can't deny that. Yes, coming back to the question of whether there will be a test match result, I agree with Gautam, because there is enough time in this test match to get a result. But I would go as far as stick my neck out and say there you will see collapses on both sides, which means we might even have a result even within the 5th day. That means you don't need the 6th day. You might have a result by the 5th day itself. Do you agree with me or disagree with me, Anis?
Not really, Shyam. You see, we've already crossed 2 days, unless the wickets fall in heaps, which can happen in these conditions where you go on to nick every ball, like what happened to India in Adelaide, because here a lot of times players get beaten and you don't edge it. But the forecast, as I said, for the first half tomorrow doesn't look to be good, but then it is clear on Sunday. And then similarly on Monday and Tuesday, we have clear skies. And also Tuesday will be. So we are going to have 4 more days of game, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Am I right? Because today was the first day. So we have 4 more days. Day 2.
They call it day 2.
Yeah, but total 6 days are there in the game. In this
test 6 days,
match.
correct.
So we are talking about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The match is going to be carried on till Wednesday. They need to, if required. As you said, if the match doesn't get over, I feel it will go into the last day.
The 6th day.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the forecast.
Yeah, which means you're expecting some more time to be lost due to the bad weather.
Yes, for tomorrow I don't see the match unless, as they say, that the weather forecast changes in England with time. It's showing very bad till lunch.
Oh, that doesn't look good actually.
Yeah.
And also, these frequent interruptions are not great, because I was listening to this guy saying Tim Southee actually came back when he came for the second spell. He seemed to be getting his length and line right, but then there was an interruption. He had to go off. So when you come back again to get back into the rhythm is a problem. So it affects bowlers and the batsmen also. See, the thing is, you get into a zone there, and when you have to break off and come back, you have to take fresh guard, and it's almost like starting all over. So these frequent interruptions don't help both the bowlers and the batsmen. So
very true.
Which is a shame, really. Before we wind up, any thoughts for tomorrow other than the weather?
Well, yeah, to be very honest, 270, 280 on this wicket, India would probably have the edge. At the moment, they've got almost half the runs. And as long as Virat Kohli is there, you need to back India to get that score. Okay, I know we have Rishabh Pant, But we need to see how is he going to bat in this condition. He's going to throw his bat around. Only time will let us know. And whether Jadeja and Ashwin can counter this swinging condition. Now, one is playing in India, one is playing in Australia. It's a different thing. But playing in this moving ball, as I said, is not going to be easy. But India are up for it. And at the moment, I believe India is 60-40 in the game.
Gautam?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Anis Bhai. It's India have won the 60% of the psychological battle here. That there had been no disaster as we had been kind of, we were little.
Gautam, we lost you.
No issues.
Sure, when
yeah,
they come out to bat, it's once again, like they're going to start from scratch, and the captain and the vice captain, they are really aware of that.
I think it is more important that it's Kohli and Rahane bat for a longer period, so that we get somewhere close to what Anis said, around 270. If you need to reach there, these two guys need to bat. And I completely agree with the fact that after this, even Rishabh Pant for that matter, we don't know how he's going to play against the moving ball. So it's imperative that Kohli and Rahane need to stress their partnership for quite some time. If India has to harbor any thoughts of any.
Right. So I think we can look at Virat to continue from here onwards. I mean, he's very clear in his mind about what he wants to do. I mean, when we will see those fluent cover drives once in a while, definitely. But apart from that, he will play that busy innings based on his singles and twos. So interesting days play ahead of us, Shyam, provided weather doesn't interfere again.
And is by anything more to add before we wind up?
No, but just to wind up, it's been a cracker of a test match. People say it was a boring day, 2 runs per over, but the purest form of cricket, as this Ravi Shastri said, is the daddy of all World Cup finals, and you can't afford to take your eyes off it. If you love test cricket, there's no other better game. As much as the Euro football is going around the world, there's a Copa Cup going on, but mind you, test cricket is the purest form, and you can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, I completely agree there, because today we saw test cricket at its finest. I mean, the searching examinations of batsman's technique, ball swinging away, coming back into the batsman negating it, the swing by stepping out or playing forward or countering the swing beautifully. So we saw a superb duel between the bat and ball today. In fact, test cricket at its finest, and hopefully we can get some more of the match tomorrow. And if the weather stays good, I think we should be able to get a decent day's play tomorrow. And let's hope that we'll get a decent place tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying with us. And please log on to gulfnews.com for latest updates. So also the Facebook and our Instagram channels as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Good night.